guys, it's Arlessa coming at you with another video, and it is right smack dab in the middle of the weekend, and what better time than just to send it on out before everybody goes out for the day or the night, or you know, in the morning before they go to, some people go to church or just chill or have Sunday fun day. So I'm gonna try to get this video squeaked in there so maybe you can see it, and if not, it'll always be there ready for you when you come across it. So in this video today I'm going to be doing my official kickoff with my ADHD series. My last video was kind of like a pre-series video telling you what to expect, the things I would talk about, maybe the different phases of the brain that will be having their own video. And originally I was going to talk about ADHD, like paralysis, shutdowns. I call them dips, just my own personal little name. But I was going to talk about that. And usually I do, obviously, those who follow me or, you know, like to engage in my content know that I'll do a pre-video post letting you guys know what the next video is about, if you want to send me a comment or have any suggestions, things you want to hear about. And I got a couple of comments on that post on Facebook, and then I also got some messages, and all of them had to do with curiosity behind overstimulation and you know, oversensory and things that come with ADHD. So I kind of just said, you know what, maybe this is my sign to go ahead and do the video based on overstimulation and what ADHD brain actually goes through. Now, before anybody gets upset with me being politically incorrect, who knows, this day and age, you never know what somebody finds offensive. I will, throughout this series, be saying ADHD brain and then comparing it to a neurotypical brain, which is scientifically, in society terms, what a normal functioning brain would be. Now, an ADHD brain, which is attention hyperactive deficient disorder, is a neurotypical disorder. So it's deficient in neurotransmitters like dopamine, norepinephrine. There's different neurotransmitters that an ADHD brain could be lacking. And because of the deficiency in these neurotransmitters, our brain does not have the capability to operate as a neurotypical brain, which leads to a lot of different things that the ADHD brain person goes through, different types of stimuli, overstimuli, hyperfocusation, and dips and things like that. ADHD paralysis, there's a lot of different things that go on with what happens. So there's so many different facets of ADHD that I don't think people understand. And I think that overstimulation and oversensory is a really huge thing with ADHD that people go through, that I don't think a lot of people understand that is something that a lot of ADHD people go through. It can cause, you know, irritation, it can cause mood shifts. And when I say, I mean, it could be instantaneous. So there's a lot of things that go on, you know, your mood regulation, emotional regulation, different things that have to happen when you're trying to manage your ADHD. So I'm going to go into the overstimulation and oversensory, but do remember that a normal neurotypical person can get overstimulated, right? Anybody can. So with the ADHD brain, it's more the hyperfocusation. Is that a word? I feel like I'm always throwing these like words out there that may not be words, but I think you know what I mean when I say them, so we're good. Trailblazing. Anyways, so going through the overstimulation, and it's a thing, and neurotypically, but the brain has not had the capability on an ADHD brain to process and focus like a neurotypical brain. So what are some things that can cause overstimulation in a person with ADHD? Well, for one, a lot of different sounds, a lot of different tones. They may be okay listening to a song, but when the commercials come on, it may be irritating. For me, it does that. I find it really, really hard to listen to the radio because the songs, the different frequencies and melodies and things like that are always changing. So I would need to pick an album that I would want to listen to, a specific artist, and then listen to that person or listen to the same type of genre of music to kind of keep that same familiar like tone and frequency. So that helps a lot, not being overstimulated whenever it comes to like audio sounds, like when I'm listening to music. The same thing with television. is whenever, you know, somebody with ADHD is watching a TV show and the commercials come on, or certain loud sounds, like certain background music and stuff, can actually overstimulate it, which is, it's so interesting because anybody who knows somebody with Asperger's or autism understand that the things I'm saying is a very real thing for them. But a lot of people don't understand that it is the same way for someone with the ADHD brain. So also, when an ADHD brain goes into hyper-focusing on something, they move really fast, they talk really fast, and they're focused. So they're not only driving their brain faster, well, actually their brain's driving them faster. Then what happens is you start to get overstimulated because of how fast you're moving. And not only that, but the incapability of the brain to process like a neurotypical person. So you have a bunch of stimulation and a bunch of things and sounds and colors and things that are coming your way, and you're trying to move through them on a normalcy type pattern, but the brain does not have the capability to process like a neurotypical brain. So you get bits and pieces, and then you start to kind of, I don't know, it causes like irritation, and it causes those mood shifts. So like, you know, as somebody, especially a parent who is ADHD, it can easily go through overstimulation spots, okay? I feel like I'm kind of all over the place. I think I say this every video because of my ADHD brain, because of how I'm processing what I'm saying. It's hard to remember exactly what I'm telling you and what I've told you until I watch it back. And I usually just do a straight shot, videotape it, and then post it. So my brain has been going through a lot of different phases lately. I'm actually coming out of a dip and a shutdown. So I'm trying to take my time a little bit on this video, but also don't want to go past my time. So let's get back to it so I can stay focused. What are things that you can do to better manage when overstimulation happens? So I gave you a couple examples with like sounds and like colors and things like that having to do with, you know, videos and television and radio. So imagine anything else in life, you know, that is a lot of stimulation coming your way, or the altering of different sounds and things. Okay, so I gave y'all a couple of examples. Y'all can go into all that and think about this when you're managing your own situation. But what are things that you can do to better self-identify that you are going through you are overstimulating, you are getting overstimulated, and how do you fix that right in the moment? Because parts of shutdowns and ADHD paralysis can be triggered from being overstimulated and having those oversensory just kind of pummel you a little bit. So while we can't stop our brain from doing this, we can manage it. And what we can do by managing it is becoming more self-aware about the different types of feelings and emotions and maybe physical stimuli that starts to happen when we start to get overregulated, we start to get oversensory, we start to have a lot of those overstimulations come in. So a couple of things is I identify is that I will start to feel a little anxious, right? You start to feel that panic-y type feeling set in, or anxiety, but it's that your body's not able to keep up with what's happening up here, and so your body will kind of start to react to that. Something that is I'll start to feel myself get a little irritated, and I think this is really important for people to understand and be aware of, especially not only those who have ADHD, but those who don't, and those who live around people who do. Because with my daughter, and because she is 12, it is very important for me to say, and we've learned to do this, and we're getting better about it, but I'll say, hey, mommy is feeling very overstimulated, and she knows about ADHD. She knows about how I feel whenever I go through certain things. I communicate with her because I want her to understand that my irritation in this moment does not have to do with you. It has to do with something that mommy is trying to process in her brain, and for some reason I'm not able to process it. So I say, hey, let me take a second, and I'll go and sit down. So it's very important whenever you're being overstimulated and you have all of these different things that are hitting you and you're starting to get that irritation. The best way for me, and I'm going to tell you to manage that also, is to say, hey, to communicate to the people around you and then go and sit where there's not a lot of overstimulation. Is there's something that's calming. I always have my fan on. You know, it's very calming to have that background sound because ADHD, you hear all the sounds. So having one sound is very calming and soothing because the brain hears that instead of trying to focus in on the vents or, you know, outside sounds and things like that. So that has to do with oversensory. So I go into my safe space, which is my room. I won't turn the TV on. I'll put my phone away. I'll take my watch off because it's connected to my phone. I do all of that and I cut out because I want to give my brain the peace and the quiet that it needs in order to catch up with itself because of all of the overstimulation and things. And the thing is that ADHD brain doesn't process stimulation, and I know I've said it several times in the video already, does not process stimulation like a neurotypical brain. So whereas somebody who has a neurotypical brain is aware that, okay, this is going on, they can kind of separate things into a box, into their own box. An ADHD brain is kind of all throws it in the box. It's one big smorgasbord of all the things. And then you're in the middle of it trying to figure out what is what and try to organize when it's all compiled into one big mesh of things. So it's interesting. I think that these videos are going to be good for me too because I'm really figuring it out. I've only been off my medication for 4 years, but even just the self-awareness behind learning how to manage when you're having various episodes go on. Woo! Let me tell you, it's challenging. It has its challenges, but I want to be able to talk about them and hear what you guys have to say. So I don't know if I have too much more to go on with the overstimulation. I've given you a couple of examples. I've talked about it. How to manage is to go into a quiet place. Really, when I start to overstimulate and get that oversensory, I'll take a bath because the sound of the water running and then having that comfort of the water being like on me and just the feelings and then bringing yourself into the present moment, which is really great for all types of brains, is to focus on learning how to bring yourself into the moment. It may be a little bit more challenging in times, but the thing is that once you start to actively move towards managing what happens with your brain when you're being overstimulated, then in those little pockets of peace where you take yourself, you have to remove yourself away from all the stimulation and give your brain that little time to catch up. But once you learn how to better understand when that's starting to creep up, and once you start to more give your brain and yourself, your body, because it all works together as one unit, when you start to give it the time that it needs to process correctly or process in what way it's learned to adapt, you start to change. So you can make things happen. On ADHD, it may be like we're trying to drive the car with the brake on sometimes, but guess what? We're gonna make it go. You can make it go. So ADHD is not a loss of power in any way, and you are no less or, you know, than anybody else. It's just learning how to manage what's going on with that very special brain of yours. So I've gone on a little bit. I hope this made a little bit of sense. If not, please, let's get a discussion going. I think it made sense, but maybe, you know, not as much information as I really wanted to. But managing what calms you in those moments, being sure that you're communicating with the people around you what's going on so that they understand and that they're able to better understand not only how to manage it as well, being someone so close to you, but how to understand and maybe see signs. Adeline, my daughter, will definitely see when I start to get overstimulated sometimes before I even see it. So, and it's because I communicate with her and we understand things about each other. So it's very important to do that. So we can get a discussion in the comments. My video has to come to an end because I can only go 15 minutes. So thanks for watching, guys, and just manage it, right? Learn to manage those moments and figure out how you can better, you know, move yourself forward through what seems almost impossible to do. But you got it. All right, guys, bye.